Hey there, my name's Drew Brashler, and in this video, I want to talk to you about DCAs on your Behringer WING. Now, if you're brand new to my channel, I'm all about helping you feel more confident with your production gear, no matter where you're starting from. So let's go ahead and dive in. Now, with the Behringer WING, I have DCAs. Now, DCA stands for Digitally Controlled Amplifier. Now, this is different from a group because a group or a subgroup actually takes channels, sums them together into an audio stream that is one audio stream or a stereo audio stream. So on the Behringer WING, we have our buses that can be set up as a subgroup, which would allow me to put an EQ over a set of drums or a compressor over a set of drums. Now, a DCA is a digitally controlled amplifier, and this is a remote control to the faders that are assigned to it. So for instance, I have all of my drums here. I have my kick out, snare top, snare bottom, high tom, mid tom, floor tom, overhead. Now I can assign all of these to a single DCA to be able to adjust the volume of the drums with one fader. Now, the great thing about DCA is it would keep the blend that I have. So say I have my kick pretty hot, and then my snare top is pretty good, but my snare bottom is lower, my toms are up pretty high, and then my overheads are right here. If I wanted to adjust the volume of these faders at the same time, without a DCA, I'd have to try to figure out where my faders need to be. And then once we hit below this -10, then all of a sudden the fader throw of this fader is different than the fader that was up here because this is a logarithmic style fader, which is what we want for audio. Meaning that the higher the fader into this section, the higher the resolution there is. Whereas if you go down into the bottom, moving a 1/4 of an inch down here, or a couple millimeters, is adjusting 10 dB of adjustment, whereas a couple millimeters here, or a 1/4 of an inch, is, 2 to 3 dB. It's much different. And so the benefit of having a DCA over these drums is I could go to my DCA, and here's my drum DCA, and I can adjust all of the drum channels with this one fader. So I can go ahead and pull this down 5 dB, which would in essence be turning down all of the drum channels that I have assigned to this drum DCA down by 5 dB. And the great thing is, when I am mixing with DCAs, and this is the main reason that I mix with DCAs, is when I'm doing sound check, I will leave all my DCAs at 0. And then I'll go to my channels and I'll adjust things to get them sounding blended well together. So I know that this is the mix for my drums. All right, here's my bass guitar, acoustic guitar, etc. Once you find that really nice spot that you kind of want to think as a baseline for all of the songs that you have in that set. Once everything is blended well together, then I will jump over to my DCAs and start mixing off of my DCAs. So I have 16 DCAs available to me on the Behringer WING, and so I will utilize 8 of the DCAs as drums, bass, guitar, keys, tracks, effects, vocals, and then all of the band on one DCA. And this allows me to then take this, and if there's a song where I don't want as much drums, but I need a little bit more bass guitar, I could go ahead and pull the drums down, add in some bass, and then when that song is done, I know that the next song, I need the drums back up to normal, bass brought back into the mix a little bit, and so then I can go back to 0, and I know that this was that baseline mix that I started with at the end of rehearsal. So this is one of the main reasons that I use DCAs. Now, to actually program channels into your DCAs, it is very simple. All you have to do is press DCA on the left-hand side of our board, press View, and then we have all of our DCAs up here on our screen. So for instance, if I wanted to add in a DCA on DCA 5, I can go ahead and type in here and type it extra is what I'm going to call this. And so we can now see that I have a DCA called extra. And if I wanted to assign channels to it, all I would have to do is press into here, and then I can select all the channels that I want to have added into this. So for instance, I have all my drums, my click track, my tracks, and my keys, and then I can press close. Now we can see that all of those channels are being adjusted by this. And so if I turn this down or I mute it, it's going to mute those channels or bring their volumes down. So if I go back and look at my channels, we can see that these are now flashing. Now, another thing that I like to do is I like to use my DCAs as my mute groups. I actually don't use mute groups on any console that I mix on because I find that DCAs are going to be a lot more flexible of an option for me because not only can I mute, but I can also lower the volume. And so all of us with P16s know that if you have it set up in a certain way, if you mute the channel, it mutes the send to that monitor for the P16s. So for instance, if I'm coming out of message and I need to go into worship, for you church guys out there, we can just simply unmute the DCA but leave it turned down. Now the band on stage has monitors, they can hear themselves, and then when it's ready to add in the band back underneath the message, you can do that, which is great. Now, another thing that's great about the Behringer WING with our DCAs is that we can go in and add any of our DCAs next to our channels on our user layers. So for instance, this is my main spot that I am mixing from when I have my board set up. So all I do is have my 4 vocals, and then here is all of my band. So I have my 4 vocals, which I'm going to be reaching to a lot during a show. Lead vocal changes, background vocal changes, those type of things. I want to be able to be mixing my vocals at all times. And then I have my entire band sitting here. So I have my drums, my bass, my guitars, my keys, my tracks, my effects for my vocal effects. So check 1, 2, check 1, 2. And I can vary and raise this up or down how I want to. Now then the other thing I have is my vocals. So here's my vocals, and so I can mute all of my vocals here, and then I have my band, and by accident I actually have my vocals in my band group, or my band DCA, which I don't want. So I have the ability of muting the band or turning the band down or up as much as I want to. So this is where utilizing those user layers and the DCAs alongside my channels is going to be fantastic. Now, I hope this video was helpful for you today. If you do happen to have any questions, or there's a video that you're hoping that I would make on the Wing Compact, the Wing Rack, or the Wing Full Size, put that comment down in the comment section down below, as I'm always reading through those comments to find videos that are going to be helpful for you. If you haven't already, make sure to check out my website at drewbrashler.com, where I have a full set of channel presets that you can purchase and download for your Behringer WING that has my favorite settings anywhere from an alto saxophone to a kick drum to a snare drum to a trumpet. So if you are brand new to audio and needing a little bit of help with getting your EQ and dynamics set, head over to my website with that, and there's a full document on why I chose those settings that I do, because I think that presets are not a one-size-fits-all, but you need to learn the reasoning behind some of the settings. So I include that in that download. So check that out over at drewbrashler.com. Otherwise, I hope you have a great day.